going on?
What's up? How you doing, Josh?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right, we're talking with Josh Rivera, who plays Aaron Hernandez in a new feature here, American Sports Story. It's from the makers of American Horror Story, and that is happening right now on FX or Hulu. And just to give a little background on Josh, you were in one of the Hunger Games movies. You were in Steven Spielberg's production of West Side Story. And then I want to fact check on this. Were you in the first touring cast of Hamilton?
Yeah, that's right. First national tour.
I just asked that because I was going to ask, have you ever played a real life character before? And who did you play in Hamilton?
Oh man, you know something? I've been saying this is my first time playing a real guy, and I forget. Yeah, I was I was a standby, which I went on when people went on vacation and got sick and stuff. I would do Marquise de Lafayette, Jefferson, Hercules Mulligan, James Madison, and John Lawrence and Philip Hamilton.
Jeez.
And so I had to know all of those roles. Oh yeah, it was a lot.
No pressure there at all. All right.
It was a great first gig because I got to my first gig ever, but first like big gig. Because we traveled around the country, went to San Francisco, Los Angeles, and then we did in the second year we traveled all around. And while I was in that, West Side Story pulled a bunch of people from different Hamilton casts. So that's kind of how that ended up happening as well.
Yeah. Well, here you are playing a real life character, somebody way more recent.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine what it's like trying to prepare to play someone like Aaron Hernandez, because he kind of had everybody fooled. Especially here in the heart of Patriots country in New England. He came across as the sweet guy, but there was that horrifying dark side. And that must have been something to prepare. Have you ever played someone in your career that had such a complex personality, such extremes in their personality?
I don't think so. At least not one that got analyzed in the projects that I was doing. But yeah, I meant to. It's interesting that your perspective being in Patriot country, like that must have been quite wild. And that's something that I found out while I was doing research for the role. Is I didn't realize how widespread the perspective on this story already was. Like that people were really, really invested in what was happening. Because I had heard about it kind of in my periphery, but, like I said, I was in theater school. There's not a huge Venn diagram crossover of cultures there. So finding out how shocking this was to everybody that it happened as I dug my teeth into the research was really interesting. Because it's like you said, a lot of accounts of this person, he was goofy, he was good-humored, he was a really lovable, fun person to be around, charismatic. It's very, very interesting. And as far as the preparation for it, with that in mind, I felt like it was important to try to make somebody who was easy to like and then have sort of the sinister undertones speak for themselves with the way that the plot carries. But yeah, I wanted to start with the humanity first because I think that is what gives the story its real draw. And what makes it so shocking when what ends up happening happens.
Yeah, the shock factor was amazing. When we all saw him being let out of his house in handcuffs, it was like, I worked at a radio station where we had him on as a guest every week. Just like
really?
you explained, super nice guy, very funny, had a great sense of humor, very charming. And then to have this happen, and it shocked people all the way to the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft. Did you get with any of his family to research this role? Were they willing to cooperate with this?
No, I didn't have that resource. Fortunately, what I did have was the people at the Boston Globe who did the journalism initially that sort of dived further into the more complex facets of the whole thing. We had them helping us out with a lot of the information, and I think that there was a hesitancy to to rely on people that were really close with it, because then you get a little bit muddied up with people who have stake in the game and who have really close perspectives to it and stuff like that. I personally thought it would be much better for me to just work with the information that I was given, because what happens is we have so many people who have established perspectives on this. You know, the story is really widely known. So then what I have to do is, like, I'm not trying to copy this guy. I'm not trying to frame for frame be exactly like this person. What I have to do is make a character that is compatible with the existing perspective, but not like a total imitation. Because the story is, you know, there's a larger story being told about, you know, kind of how behavior gets enabled, what kind of relationships with his friends and with his family, what kind of things happen behind the scene. Those are things that we in public, we don't know. And in private, those would be significantly colored by those telling the story. So, yeah, I guess with all of that in mind, I felt it was best to approach it with the information that I had.
Did you personally talk to anybody from the New England Patriots? I know you just said, we were talking about the family before, but did you talk to anybody that maybe played football with him? I know did you play football? You played some football, right?
I played football in high school.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had a short stint with it. It was fun. I appreciate the game, and I was really into it for a while. I started shifting more towards the arts when I was like 16, 17. But there were certain people that were filming with us that had actually played against him and played with him. It was really interesting talking to them. I didn't get to talk to any of the people from the Patriots. I didn't try. I kind of just assumed that would not be something that they would want to talk about. So, no. I wish I had a more interesting story for you. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. And I get what you were saying with the family question. You wanted to kind of, like you said, there are people that have some stake in the game. So, you know, you wanted to keep as objective as possible. I just, you know, there's that whole angle of how much did the Patriots know about him, you know, before signing that huge deal and stuff. I don't know if that, you know, that will get touched on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. What's interesting about that is I think it's really easy to want to, you know, cast blame on a lot of different factors when everything is said and done. And I think there's this assumption that, you know, you start working for a team, or if you start a job, you know, your supervisors are going to assume that you're an adult and you know what you're doing. You know, they're not going to, I don't feel like they feel responsible for holding your hand and guiding you from a spiritual level or from an emotional maturity level. So with that said, I mean, it lightly gets, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without giving anything away, because I think the show does a really good job with the relationship there, because something with Aaron specifically is that that development didn't quite happen because of how early all of this stuff in his career, you know, skyrocketed. He was the youngest person, I believe he was the youngest person drafted in the league, or at least one of the youngest people. Already, he had left school a semester early right after his dad died. He left high school a semester early to go play for the Florida Gators. And then with that, you know, his popularity really grew in that town. He learned very early on that he didn't play by the same rules as everybody else. You know, he punched tender and got away with it scot-free, no worries. And all of this because he was very physically talented and people wanted to keep seeing him win. So that's a very, very dangerous lesson to learn, and not even considering, you know, the CTE aspect of it, which we didn't know until he passed. But then, you know, as you get to the professional level, it is very beneficial to not really pay attention to those signs. And I think that's also why things are so shocking when everything is said and done. But also we have a collective stake as people who want to see someone win to ignore these things.
Yes.
That's what I think is a interesting lens to watch the show through, right? is this idea of societal culpability. And this is why it makes it an American sports story, right? Football is such a cultural pillar, and it benefits us to ignore a lot of things because we want this entertainment and because there is something very, I don't know if this is a word, gladiatorial. There's the Coliseum. These guys are hitting each other, and it's a lot of fun for the audience members. But there's a really sinister reality to it at times, particularly in stories like this, that I talk a lot about societal culpability because it benefits a lot of people to ignore that. And, as viewers, too, like it benefits our content consumerism to ignore certain realities as well.
Yeah, and I think that transcends sports. I mean, America loves a winner, and they want to see that person keep winning. And then at the same time, when they reach a certain level, then they love to start tearing them down. It seems to be a very American story. Yeah. Well, listen, Josh Rivera, thank you so much for spending the time and talking about it. You can see Josh playing Aaron Hernandez in American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez. It's on FX right now. Josh, thank you so much, and thank you for the conversation, and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, man.